Today I'm going to be talking about the Justinian Mosaic in the San Vitale Church in Ravenna, Italy, and this was made in 547 AD. So, some background on Emperor Justinian. He was born in May 11th, 482 AD, and died in November 14th, 565 AD. He succeeded his uncle Justin I and rose to imperial power in 527. The main goal of his reign was to restore the empire to its former glory in the days of Constantine. He enacted several reforms to increase accountability and reduce the corruption he'd seen in the government. To achieve his goals, he appointed his administrators and counselors from outside of the aristocratic class because his origins were originally from the peasant stock. This led to a lot of tension between him and the Byzantine nobility because they didn't approve of his choices for administrators and counselors. He had an authoritarian approach to governance. He decreed that his will was above the law. He also sponsored a codification of laws known as the Codex Justinian, which was a synthesized collection of old Roman laws. This was his way of rooting out corruption and creating a more easily accessible justice system. He had heavy influence over the church state because his role as emperor of the Byzantine Empire was to enforce Orthodox Christianity over the people because that was the will of the original leader, Constantine. He also launched a very aggressive military program to restore regions lost to invaders. He restored a lot of old Roman territory, and he also restored Ravenna as Italy's capital. The Justinian Mosaic is an artwork that portrays the incredible power and influence that Justinian had over the church, the administration, and the military, and we can see this in symbolism. In this work, you can see Emperor Justinian in the middle, Bishop Maximianus on his right, members of the clergy behind Maximianus, and members of the administration to his left, as well as the military to the far left. Justinian wears purple robes. Purple is a symbol of royalty, and he also wears a crown because he is the leader. He carries a bowl of the Eucharist as an act of homage to Christ, and he also has a halo symbol behind him. This kind of symbolizes that he is a divine figure and the messenger of Christ. The clergy and Justinian carry a censer, a gospel book, the cross, and a bowl for the bread of the Eucharist from the right to the left, which symbolizes their significance in the church. Justinian stands in the center, of course, because he is the most important, and he and Maximianus are more personalized. He is depicted to be leading a procession for the enactment of the sacrament of the Eucharist. So you can see that the figures are all very similar in their style, but Maximianus and Justinian are wearing the most recognizable clothing because they're the most similar figures, and it kind of shows the tension between them because they're both very powerful. The style of this mosaic is very similar to other Byzantinian works and mosaics because the figures are centered and front-facing. There's little regard for accurate proportions or weight distribution. They kind of have that weird lanky proportion. You can see in the stance of their feet and in the posing of their arms that they're very stiff and kind of duplicated. The background is golden and flat, representing a heavenly plane, plane that is outside of physical existence and is kind of divine. The way that the tesserae are fused together with gold leaf allows the light to reflect off the surface and make the piece seem glowing and radiant and divine. Very heavenly and religious, as Justinian intended for the piece to come off when the audience was viewing it. So in conclusion, the symbolism and the style of this mosaic displays Justinian's great political power over the three different branches of government, church, and the state. It's a staple of Byzantine artwork and of its history. Thank you. These are my cited works.